Hello, folks. Welcome to On This Hill, a podcast of Church on the Hill. We are here deep in the bowels of the COTH complex from the broadcast studios known as the basement next to the music room.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I got a very special guest with me today. Brought in a Gen Zer. I think you're only the second Gen Z.
I was thinking about this on the way because Micah and Mason are both Gen Z because we're all a year apart or a year and a half.
That's true.
Even though
in
my head,
we've had Mason on.
30.
I'm trying to think. Has Micah been on? No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
So just Mason. So you are the second
Oh,
Gen
wow.
Z who's ever been on the podcast.
Honored.
So thank you for bringing our median age way down compared to most.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I assume there's probably a lot of people that know this, but maybe there's a few people that don't, because I think you just ran into someone in church the other day that didn't know that you were my daughter.
I run into so many people all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, you're Jason? I didn't know that. Why? Because we look so similar.
Yeah, that is. I honestly forget. Like, people don't make a natural connection because you don't look like me.
Yeah.
But
They do with Faith because Mom and Faith look exactly the same.
Mom and Faith look alike.
So.
Yeah. And who was let's just call him out. Wasn't in fourth grade that there was a boy that did not understand adoption? So you went to Cross Hill Christian School here.
Yes.
And what was that story? I can't remember exactly how it went.
So Faith and I have always been in the same grade.
Right.
So everyone assumed we were going to be twins because we had the same last name. But then when we got to class, you know how you do like roll call and you're like here, and they always do like a double take.
Yeah.
So this kid, he was in our class and he told his mom like, "Oh yeah, Grace and Faith, they're twins." And she was like, "No, like Grace is actually adopted." He's like, "No." He goes, "Grace has dark hair like her dad, and Faith has light hair like her mom. They're twins." And she couldn't convince him.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Is that boy stick around?
What do you mean?
I mean, did he go all the way through? Like,
Yeah, we graduated with him.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure.
You
Yeah.
don't want to say his name?
No, because that's really sad.
Nobody cares. He doesn't care. It's funny.
I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna be nice.
Okay.
For once.
Another funny thing along that line was when you were little and your great-grandma was getting very old. You know the story, I think. She had like a little coin. She collected coins and some other things. She had something she wanted to give to you and something she wanted to make sure that got to Faith when she passed away. So she was giving us, those gifts. And she asked us, because she said she wrote a little letter to both of you. And she asked, now, are you going to tell her when she gets older that she's adopted?
Wait, wasn't this like filmed too? Because wasn't that like our first birthdays or second birthdays?
Oh, I don't
because
know.
I remember there's like we have family videos, and I was watching them. And I remember seeing like a gift that was given, and then you guys took it right away because I wasn't allowed to have it because I was 1, and who gives a 1-year-old a coin?
Yeah, a coin. Yeah, that wouldn't have been good. That part might have been filmed, but the conversation wasn't filmed because I just remember, telling her she's the sweetest great grandma in the world.
The best.
But like, I think we're gonna tell her. I think she'll probably figure it out too. Eventually she'll understand that she was adopted. Yeah. I don't think it's a secret we could keep, to be honest. Like, just there was a recessive Chinese gene and you just came out Chinese. No. So yes, you are our daughter. You're how old?
23.
You're 23 years old.
Yeah.
And what would you like when you're introducing yourself to people? What do you say? Like when you went to Wyoming recently, we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
But when you meet someone brand new, like, "Hi, I'm," what do you say?
I don't really say a lot, which I probably should. Be like, "Hi, I'm Grace. I'm 23."
That's the full.
I kind of wait for them to ask me questions because then I'm like, I don't want to be that person that just like tells you my life story without you asking. So usually be like, "Oh yeah," well, when I was in college, be like, "Oh yeah, I go to Corbin University." When I graduated from Corbin University.
Mm-hmm. Did you okay, let's talk about DTS, because you grew up in a pastor's home or a missionary's home. And we lived on, we probably need to introduce a couple acronyms here. Youth with a Mission, YWAM. People around here have heard us say that a lot. I assume most people know what that is. It's a mission organization, one of the largest mission organizations in the world, all over the world. There's a base right here in Salem. Tricia and I, your mom, went and did a DTS, which is their discipleship training school, in 95 and lived in Arkansas for a while. And then when we came home from China, there was a time after pastoring a small church that we moved back into Youth of the Mission here in Salem. So you grew up partially on a YWAM base. What do you remember about living on a YWAM base? What did you dislike about
Well,
living in a community like that?
I was really young, but I liked it because I could run anywhere and go anywhere
true. Yeah,
without having
yeah.
you guys have to follow me or ask. You guys gave us walkie-talkies. when we were
Yeah,
little.
you were a little bit of free-range children compared to most Gen Z.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that. And I wasn't the most social kid. I used to hide behind my sister.
Yes, you
I
did.
would hide.
Yeah, who was younger than
Who
you
was
by a
younger than
year.
me.
Yeah.
But she was so extroverted and very outgoing, and I wasn't.
Yeah,
So
I think friendly is the word you're looking for.
you could say that. Some people could say that. I got there finally. Just
Yeah.
took 23 years. No, but I really enjoyed it because, like you were saying, we were kind of like free range. And then I remember going to every lunch, and it was in the cafeteria, and we'd go through a school line, and then we always get to sit with our friends every lunch. And so I thought that was very cool because you got to be with your friends 24/7.
Yeah, there's 30-something acres out there of green and a creek running through it.
Yeah, Faith and I made these secret forts by the creek. We used to fish for crawdads with a hot dog on a string
Yep.
and a stick.
Yep,
Yeah.
hot dog on a string. And I remember there was a chicken coop behind our house too.
Oh yeah,
This all sounds very sketch in a way when you talk about YWAM.
I know. That's
You're
why I was hoping
everyone
you would explain why.
living in community. For people that don't understand it, they're basically so a commune? Well, yeah, it is kind of a commune.
I tried to share what YWAM, how I lived at YWAM for my DTS stage to a friend and young adults.
Yeah.
And I just explained it. I was like, everything I just said sounds like a commune, huh? And they're like, yeah, are you sure it was a missions organization? I was like, yes.
It was
It is.
It is a commune.
Yeah.
So those are fond memories. You like that?
Yeah.
Good. Okay. However,
Yes.
what were your feelings about growing up, whether you would do a DTS? So a DTS is the entry point into Youth of the Mission. If you want to do anything in YWAM, you have to first do a DTS, their discipleship training school. And I led those for a time. I did other things in Youth of the Mission. Did you grow up thinking, I'm definitely going to do DTS, or no, I'm not going to?
Oh, yeah. I absolutely was like, I'm never going to do DTS since the age of 5. I was like, I'm going to be my own person. I'm not going to follow after my parents' footsteps because that's embarrassing for those kids who do.
Oh, it's so embarrassing, yes.
So embarrassing.
Yeah.
I want to be my own person. I was telling Mom this the other day, but I remember distinctly one person, I think it was some YWAMer, came up to me, and I was probably 6 or 7, very young. And they're like, are you going to be a little missionary like your parents? I remember being so offended and so upset. I was like, no, I'm going to be my own person. And so I was like, I'm never going to do DTS. Missions, YWAM, I love it. I think people should do it.
Yeah.
But I'll never do it.
But not you.
Ever.
Yeah.
Never, ever.
Take a little side note here. YWAM adults, stop putting pressure on YWAM kids. Stop doing it.
Yes.
Yes. Even really well-intentioned ones sometimes will, I think they're trying to say something, big and bold, and sometimes even speak for God. And sometimes they are speaking for God, but sometimes they're telling little kids, you're going to be a world changer. You're going to, do this or you do that. And unless you are really hearing from God, just
don't say it.
Yeah, just wait and hear from God and then say something.
Yeah.
So you weren't going to, that was set. And so what did happen after high school? What did you do?
So in high school, Cross Hill, the high school I went to, every year we went to do a missions trip. And so I think it was my freshman year. No, I actually went my 7th grade year.
That's true. Because I was leading the outreach, so I took my family. So you and Faith got to go on the
hang out with these seniors.
The first high school, yeah.
There was
seniors.
all boys and one girl
That's
on this
true.
trip.
Yeah.
And then Faith and I, and then Brooklyn Krongberger
Yeah.
and JP.
Yeah.
It was fun. But that was my first missions trip where I was old enough to actually get to participate. Because the first missions trip I went on, I was 5 or 6, going to China and Thailand.
Yeah.
And I remember a lot of times you're like, okay, you can't say Jesus out loud on the streets. Or you have to be, because you have to teach us you're in a very different country.
Yeah,
so
there's different
it's
rules
different
in China.
rules.
Yeah.
And I was like, no worries, I don't talk to people anyway, so I'm not sure why you're telling me this. But
Yeah.
but
And people in China were confused by you as well.
yeah.
Because there's little Chinese girl that doesn't speak Chinese walking around with a
That was a
6'3"
mystery.
white guy.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so in 7th grade, I went to Ensenada, Mexico, and then all
Mm-hmm.
throughout high school, I went every year. I think
Yeah.
I went 7 times, and I did the same
Yeah.
Mission Adventures, which is a week-long missions trip. So we did we built houses for families. We went to orphanages. We've done, remember building bunk beds,
Yeah.
cleaning a house.
Yeah.
We've done a lot of weird things.
You've painted a lot.
I painted a lot. I'm a really bad painter.
You were as good as anybody on the team. We had a lot of bad painters.
That's true. The bar was set pretty low. I'm a bad
Yeah.
sheetrock nailer person.
Now,
But-
Crossville Christian School
Yeah.
is Church on the Hill's school.
Yes.
So that's the connection there.
Mm-hmm.
I believe the high schoolers are supposed to go somewhere else. They're not supposed to go to Ensenada every year.
Oh,
That was like
yes.
one of the
Okay.
rules.
Well, yes.
Because Faith, your sister, she'd go to Ensenada, but then she'd also do like a YWAM Salem outreach, and for their spring break outreach, and not
I would like
pick Ensenada every
To
year.
clarify, though,
Yeah.
that they made that rule halfway through my high school year.
Oh,
So I
okay.
felt like,
So
okay.
you only disobeyed at the last half.
No, I didn't disobey. They opened it up because it used to be the missions trip to Mexico was only for seniors, and then you all opened
Yes.
it up for
Everyone.
anyone in high school. And so I was like, I'm going to Mexico because why would I stay in Salem? I live here. I literally lived on the Salem base.
Yeah.
And their outreach seemed way harder.
Yeah, you're really sticking a knife in evangelism. You're really just twisting
And
it.
I remember, I think, was it you or my teacher, Mindy Kelly? She was saying yeah, I think they are going to make a rule where you have to do Salem at least once. And I'm a very stubborn person. And I told her, no. I said, no.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Good
where you
luck
take
with
after
that.
your mom.
Yeah.
You're
I'm getting better, maturing a little bit.
no, you are. And I
But-
think it probably was Mrs. Kelly that told you that.
Yeah.
But honestly, you just kind of fell in love with Ensenada too. Like you really loved
Yeah.
it there. But it is true too that the local outreach is a harder outreach.
It is.
Like if you struggle with boldness or sharing the gospel, they would take our high school kids onto city buses and they're like, okay, stand up and share the gospel on the city bus, or go walk over to that person and share the gospel, and it really stretches them in a really good way. They also
awesome.
tend to come back really loving it. But you
Yeah.
you went to Ensenada every year.
I really would say I definitely fell in love with Ensenada and the people there and also the base itself. And I would say now, looking back, I definitely feel like God was preparing my heart for what I just came back from.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it took a lot of years.
Yeah.
But
You've got a tender heart.
I do. It's just stuff down there. It comes out.
I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Yeah.
I mean, tender-hearted people try to protect their tender heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so what did it sound like, or what was it like then when God said, no, actually, this thing you're telling me no about, no, I won't do a DTS? And by the way, did we ever pressure you to do a DTS?
Nope.
Yeah, we didn't.
Not one bit.
Yeah, we didn't. I think it's a wonderful program. I think it would benefit a lot of people. But I tried to always say, do what God's telling you to do, not a DTS. If God's telling you to do DTS, then do that. If he's telling you to do something else, then do that. But obey whatever you hear God saying.
Yeah.
So when did you hear God say, actually, I want you to do this thing you don't want to do?
I remember, I think, was it 2 years ago or last year? Maybe not this summer, but the last summer, I went to the Mexico missions trip with the church, and we were leaving. It was the last day, and we were packing up all onto our huge buses, and I was extra sad. And I was like, it's normal to be sad leaving Mexico, but I was so sad for some reason. And I was like, I hid on the bus because I sat to the window and I put my hoodie on and my headphones because I was crying because I was like, whenever God speaks to me, I definitely cry because I take after you. I'm a crier. So.
Which is funny because I don't think people would think that about you.
No one's ever like, oh, you were crying. I'm like, no. They're like, yeah,
Yeah.
but no. But I remember God was very speaking to me very loudly. Probably the first time I've heard him speak that loudly. And I was that confident, oh, this is from God. There's a few times I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's from God, but I don't know. But I remember him saying, you have to come back. You're coming back and doing a DTS. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. And so I finally
Yeah.
said yes to God, but it took a while for me to tell you guys.
It did, a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we should share with everyone exactly how my dad reacted.
I'm just remembering.
I thought about this on the car drive. I said, I'm gonna do this.
I totally forgot about this.
Now we're sharing this. Okay, so I was a little nervous, and my mom was in England, and so I was like, you know what? It's easier to tell my dad because he'll be more like calm and like cool and collected about it, and just So I'm gonna tell him so that he can tell my mom. And so I remember I was on the couch and you were in the kitchen, and I was like, Dad, I think God told me to do DTS, so I want to do DTS and then Sonata. And I'm expecting him to be like, wow, Grace, I'm really proud of you for like listening to God. No, what he did was he laughed straight in my face.
For a half an hour.
Just giggled
I remember,
like a girl.
I remember laughing, not like a girl, like a very manly man. I giggled like a very manly man. I laughed for a half an hour.
He just laughed, and I was like, did I say what I thought I said? I was like, I'm pretty sure I just told Dad that, his little baby girl heard Jesus and listened and obeyed, and now I'm going to move to Mexico and leave him for a couple months. And instead, you laughed.
Yeah. Okay, so I can tell you why.
Yeah.
It was
a good laugh.
It was a good laugh. It was a relief laugh.
Yeah.
Because while I never pressured you to do DTS, I've been around the block to know that when someone says, I'll do anything, but I'll tell you what, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
That as long as you say that, he's not really Lord of your life. Because if you say, God, I'll do anything you want except this, then really I'm in control. I'm willing to do anything except the thing I don't want to do. And so when you said, like, I'm willing to do the thing I've always said I didn't want to do, there was two emotions happening at once. One was a huge relief. Like, yeah, God has got my daughter. He's totally got her. Like, she's stuck. She can't get out of this. The hooks are in. Like, she loves him so much. Ha ha. Like, she loves him so much she can't say no. And it was a relief. And there was a little bit of, I told you so.
Wow.
Just this sense of, like that thing you said you'd never do. Now you're doing it. Ha ha. And so I was super excited for you. The same way I would be excited about anything God told you to do. Yeah. But because, Trisha and I, your mom and I, both have this deep history with YWAM and this great experience in DTS where it really transformed us, I was excited that, God was going to do something like that with you as well. So yes, I did laugh in your face, looked pretty much in your face for a half an hour straight.
Yeah. You relaxed in the kitchen. You came, sat down closer to me, and then continued laughing. Yeah.
When did we tell Mom? Did we call her and tell her? Or did we wait till she got home?
She didn't laugh in my face.
She didn't laugh in your face because she's a mom and she's kind and sweet.
Yeah.
Dads are different.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm relatively kind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you are.
I said I'm relatively.
Some people are going to actually believe that's true.
I know.
We just have a very same sense of humor. We're both very softies, but we have very sarcastic. Yeah. I'm going to make, like, if I start making fun of you, then you know that I love you.
Yes.
And you're going to be my friend.
Same, yeah. One of my best friends here at the church has told me recently that he has prayed about if he has to continue to be my friend. I've known him for a very long time, even like from YWAM times, and he's here at the church now. And he's like, you've given me such a hard time over the years that I've literally prayed about whether I still have to be your friend.
Are we thinking about the same person?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Well,
yeah. Luke Dickerson. I don't mind naming him.
Yeah, I was like, well, he deserves some of it. I've known him since he was 18 or 17.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He was interesting.
Yeah. He sorry, we're going on tangents. This is family time. Yeah. All right. So he, when we were in YWAM, changed, he got a hold of my phone and he changed the name, my wife's name from Trisha in my phone. He put his name as Trisha. Mm-hmm. So I got a phone call and it said Trisha. So I'm like, hey, babe, what's going on? And I just hear Luke Dickerson laughing like an idiot.
Yeah.
So I hung up on him. And I changed his name to, I think, idiot.
Stupid.
I changed it to stupid in my phone so that every time he called, it would say stupid. And I was sitting around the house and it rang and you saw my phone. Mm-hmm. And it said stupid. And you're like, is that Luke? I'm like, yes, you guessed it in one. Good job. Okay, so back to DTS and not
Yeah.
being mean. If anyone's going to get in trouble in our house, it's you and I. And it's usually because
Yes.
of our sarcasm or
Yes.
an inappropriate joke or something that we've gone too far in
Yes.
teasing somebody. We're the ones who cross the line in our family. But okay,
Yes.
let's talk about. So you moved to Mexico.
Yeah.
Was there anything about the DTS that was maybe more impactful than others? DTSs have this lecture phase that's 12 weeks, and it has an outreach. In that lecture phase, there's worship, intercession, teaching. Like, were any of those elements like the most impactful to you?
I would definitely say my lecture phase was one of the most impactful. It was also my favorite because I went into it with no expectations. Because like if I have expectations, because I've seen DTSs been run a lot just by living out where I am,
Sure.
I'm going to be judgmental and disappointed.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sure I gave that to you.
Yeah, 100%. Just kidding.
No,
No.
I'll own it.
But so I was like, I'm just gonna be open-minded, and I was excited to learn because I was humbled a lot, I would say, during my DTS. Because being a pastor's kid, I know, being a pastor's kid and going to Cross Hill and then going to Corbin and only lived in a small bubble, I was like, I know everything about the Bible. There's nothing y'all can teach me new. And like, I was like, I've heard every sermon topic series, which I feel like kind of still is true.
Yeah, it is true. But there's a difference.
There's a difference.
Yeah.
And I was actually willing to be transformed
Yeah.
and actually was willing to be like apply that to my life.
Yeah.
And so I had a lot of amazing speakers throughout my DTS that it's hard to even like say, oh, this one person really
Can I jump
stood out.
in? I'll go
Yeah.
back to speakers in just a second. But
Okay.
I feel like that's something people don't always understand. What's the secret sauce of doing something like a discipleship training school? Why is it more impactful than doing the exact same thing at home on a weekly basis, on a Sunday, or in another thing? And because I remember coming back from Youth of the Mission and sitting down with a man. I was a licensed minister in this denomination, and he's like, "How can we bring this material to the church? Like, I just want the material you're getting because I see like what an impact it has, and how can we, bring it to the church?" I had to think about it for a little while, but then I'm like, you know what? You've already got it. They're not teaching anything different. It's just that the young people that go have paid to be there. So there's a price to it. They have a real buy-in. They've moved, they've sold things, they've quit jobs, they've dropped out of school. And so now it has this ownership piece where you can have that on a Sunday with the right person. The right person can be like completely bought in, but most people are more casual about their faith until they've literally, like the Pearl of Great Price, went and sold everything that they had in order to buy it. And so I think that's the secret sauce in a lot of DTSs, because it's good teaching, it's great teaching, but you can get that teaching in a lot of places. You could read a book and pick up most of the teaching. That being said, you did brag about some of the teachers, what a great job they did and how much you loved them. Was there any of those topics that were like, yeah, this was the best topic, great teacher?
It's a lot. I would say one that like really stood out to me was like the fear of the Lord. I've heard this sermon before, but I was always like, yeah, I have that. I'm a Christian. I'm like the best Christian there is. I'm a pastor's kid. I know. I was humbled. I'm a very prideful person.
Yeah. Did they teach humility in this DTS?
Yeah, they did. No, God taught me humility because he humbled me many times.
On outreach.
On outreach,
Sorry.
on lecture phase, he humbled me,
it
which
is
was
true.
good because I remember thinking, you know what, I really am scared because I feel like God's going to humble me when I go to DTS, and he did.
So what about
But
the fear of the Lord? Was there?
The fear of the Lord, she was from Argentina, and she was a fiery Latino woman.
Yep.
And I loved her. And she had the craziest stories, like crazy stories of faith. And I was like, someday I want to be a missionary, but I don't really want to be your kind of missionary where you have to pray every single day for food. And she just told stories of like, you know what? There are so many times where I had to give up everything in my life and be like, okay, God, you called me to this and I trust you. If I actually believe that you're Lord of my life and I tell everyone I love Jesus, I'm going to be a missionary. He's my savior. I'm going to follow him till the day I die. But I continue to hoard and be like, but you can't have this one thing.
Yeah.
Then she said, I'm a hypocrite and there's no point. And I was like, oh no. And so that was like really impactful because growing up a Christian my entire life, but like for a long time, like the DTS thing, I was like, God, you can, like, I want to be a career girl. I want to, you know, make a lot of money. I want to live in a nice house, a nice car, and that will be great. I want the American dream, and I don't want anything other.
Yeah.
But I'll love you, and I'll do whatever you say, but like, don't touch this.
Even as a little kid, you had very expensive taste.
I know, it's just such a bummer.
You really liked, which is not that crazy or unusual.
No,
but
I'm
you
a girl.
liked nice things. I remember.
I still do.
Like an Escalade going by, and you're like, "That's what I want when I'm an adult." Like this big Cadillac Escalade. I'm like, "You're 4 foot tall."
I think that's why I wanted it, because I could feel tall.
Yeah.
But no.
Yeah, your grandma Connie's like that too. She likes big trucks.
Because she wants to look down on people.
Big trucks, yes. She doesn't watch this podcast, so we could probably say.
Yeah.
She likes big trucks, so she can look down on people. She likes her house on the top of a hill, so she can
look down
on
and she
people.
doesn't want people behind her so they can look down on her.
Yeah.
But she wants to look down on people.
She literally says this too.
Every single time I see her.
That's my mom. That's my mom. I love her dearly. She's the best.
Too.
Okay, so I got another set of questions for you that are around this topic, and they're kind of Gen Z focused. So you're mostly in this discipleship training school with your own generation. Everyone's pretty close to your age.
There's like one guy that was like 50.
Yeah. When you think about the future of the church, being in the hands of people like this, what do you think? Like, what's your prediction, what's your prophecy, what's your prognostication about the future when Gen Z is leading, like not just volunteering and working, but when they take the reins? Like, what do you think about that?
Okay, I'm gonna start. Honestly, before I went to DTS, I was like, we're all screwed.
Great.
Like, I was like, I don't know. I can't do it. I don't see
Also
a lot
word
of
I keep trying to get you to
people.
stop saying.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
My bad. I said it on a podcast.
That's all right. I've never succeeded in stopping you from saying
I
it.
know. But I went to DTS and met so many people that were like on fire for God. Because, right, it's the difference where we paid a lot of money to sleep in a room with 6 other people to share one bathroom. Like, there was a price for it. And after that, I was like, oh, wait, there are people that are fully on fire. And I met so many people that was like, you're definitely going to be like a preacher someday because like you have the gift or you have the gift of worship. You're going to be like some worship pastor. I don't know. But like after meeting them, and then I think also my eyes were opened a little bit more. It was less judgmental. And then also coming back and just doing young adults and then also doing youth. Like we had like a worship night at youth group last night, and I saw so many high school kids. They're on their hands and knees bowing and worshiping, and I remember like, wow, I'm excited.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's gonna be good.
So now you're volunteering in high school
and young adults.
and in young adults. What are you doing in high school?
I'm a youth leader, so I lead the 12th grade girlies.
There's something about your generation that I'm really enjoying right now, but I'll admit it probably goes back to my snarky, sarcastic side. And that is, I am loving watching you call millennials old. It's like the favorite thing in my life that's happening right now. I love it so much. Because, we're naming names on this podcast today. Because... You know, Ari, one of our worship leaders, Nicole, our young adult pastor, Lauren Carter. These are all millennials who have called me old for so long.
Yeah.
And you know, that I helped disciple or train or lead at times, and that would, you know, constantly, you know, call me a boomer, and I'm not a boomer, I'm a Gen X, or just call me old. So seeing your generation turn on them and say, I can't believe you're still wearing this, or I can't believe you don't know what this is, or that you say this, or wow, you have 2 kids, you're so old. It's really fun to me. So thank you.
You're welcome.
From Gen X to Gen Z, thank you. I appreciate
Anytime.
it. Yeah.
I'm always here to humble anyone.
Yeah. No, but also outside of the sarcasm, I feel like you were just describing. I think there's something happening in this younger generation. Do high schoolers seem young to you?
Well,
because you're 23.
Yeah, yes and no.
Yeah.
There's some I'm like, oh wow, you're really mature, and then they say things I'm like, oh yeah, like I said that when I was younger.
A lot happens because you're working with the senior high school
yeah,
girls right now.
I'm with seniors. So
Yeah.
a lot happens from obviously freshmen to seniors. So I have a little bit of the older girls
Yeah.
who are getting ready for college and the next step. And a lot of them are talking about going to do the DTS, which I'm really excited
Oh, that's
about.
cool. Yeah.
But
yeah. But there's a lot
yeah.
also that happens between 18 and 23.
Yes,
A lot.
there's a lot.
I mean,
You go
basically
through
you
college
start,
or
hopefully
work.
picking up some of your own bills. I'm not saying that's specific to you. I'm just saying, like, when college comes, you start like, well, I got to put gas in the tank. I got to do this. And it's not all on mom and dad's dime anymore, which just grows you up a little bit and changes things. So a lot happens. So I could imagine a 23-year-old looking at an 18-year-old going, oh, you sweet little baby. What do you know about life? From a perspective of only having a few years ahead of them. But I see a younger generation, and I also get excited. And I see the people that are training them, Micah and Mason and Taylor, like, man, such amazing, solid, godly men and women. And it gets me very excited about the future as well. And we talk a lot about generations here at Church on the Hill. You know, the idea of Timothy, Paul saying, I'm giving this to you, you give this to other men, who will give it to other men. So when I look on the chain up and down that relay race, I have a lot of hope. I'm like, these guys are going to be runners. They're going to go far. Yeah.
So when I was on my DTS Youth with a Mission, it's called the Youth because there's a lot of youth.
Yes.
And I was 22 when I went, and I never felt so old in my life because everyone I was like, I'm 18. I was like, and you're leading me. But there were some people that were my age, and I was like, I would have assumed you were like 30, 40 in your spiritual walk because they were so on fire. Like the way they preached or spoke, the way they worshiped and prayed, I was like, I've heard this from like people that have been way older than you guys. And it made me really excited because at first I was like, I can get there. I just assumed I just have to wait till I'm 50 and old and more wise. But like, age is just a number because it was really encouraging because I was really excited. I was like, wow.
Yeah, I think there can be, and there's not, it's not automatic, but there can be a bravery when you're young that's harder to have when you're old. You know, where you could say like, I'm going to risk it all. And what you're risking is, well, I don't have anything.
Yeah.
You know? What do I have to lose? In a way, like I'm gonna drop out of college and I'm gonna do this thing that God's saying to do, or I'm gonna. It sounds like I'm excited about kids dropping out. That's not the case. I wanted you to finish college.
I did finish college.
Yes,
I'll just say that
you did. Yes, which I appreciate.
College.
But there's just this, risks you can take when the consequences are still relatively minor. Where when you get a little bit older, like, oh wow, I've got this invested, I've got this, like, and when God says, "Give me all your stuff," you're like, oh, I've got a lot of stuff. It's a rich young ruler thing. Like, well, he had a hard time because he had a lot of stuff. So I think there's something about striking while the iron is hot when kids are young. Like, teach them to be brave, teach them to risk it all. Because if they can risk when they have little, they can start to risk when they have a lot. So it's an important time. I think I've about covered everything I want to cover. Maybe I just want to ask one more question. Unless there's anything that you came in, you're like, I wanted to say this.
I was telling Mom you were doing a wedding on Sunday. I had lunch with her, and I was telling her, like, you know how since the age of 5, I was like, I'm not being a missionary. I'm not going to do DTS. I was telling her, I think it's because I've known since the beginning that I was supposed to be doing DTS. Like, deep down, even when I was so young, when God stirs something in your heart, because he does at 5 years old, you might not know exactly what he's saying, but your soul does. Eventually we'll get there. And I knew, like, I think that could be something he might call me to, but I'm going to do everything possible to, like, push it, which was like going to college, which I think going to college is still good.
It's a great thing.
But it was also another way of like, well, if I go to college, then I have to do a career. And then that'd be a disappointment if I just didn't do my major and did something else. Yeah. Like, I did everything possible. Yeah. And then finally. So my encouragement is don't be like me, but just listen. Because he has so much bigger and better things for you than you can imagine. Because my whole dream sounds really good on a piece of paper, but like now that I have like a little tiny taste of what God has for me, I don't want that one bit. Yeah. And that seems stupid. That's boring. I don't want it. Yeah. I don't know what God has for me. It's kind of exciting and it's kind of scary. But like, if you're a Christian and you want that lordship, you have to give it all. And it is hard because especially when you are older, you do have a lot more. You have a car, you have family to provide, but like it is worth it, even though it's going to be scary. because
Yeah.
that's like, why not? If you call yourself a Christian and you're like, I'm fully surrendered to God and I love God, but you're not willing to give him everything. Like, he gave you everything.
Mm-hmm.
The least you could do is give him your life.
You're making me cry. Good job.
I was going to ask you, have you cried on this podcast before? But that's just a stupid question.
Kid, you still live in my house. I can take things away.
Yeah, I have nothing to lose.
That's true.
So.
That's a really good word. That's a really, really good word. And you're absolutely right. And my only thing to add to it, when you say don't be like me, I'd say, nah, be like Grace. Very, very proud of you.
Thanks.
Couldn't be more proud of you. And yeah, and it makes parents nervous too. I remember when Trisha and I sold the house and quit the job and went off, to YWAM and risked it all.
You were my age.
Yeah,
23.
23. We were 23, and we were married at the time. And I remember, family being like, "You're crazy. You're crazy." And so it's hard on parents sometimes too. But I can't imagine anything I'd rather you do more than just whatever God is saying. So if that is career and professional and then Escalade, then you'd be dumb to do anything else. Mm-hmm. But if it's walk away from all that and follow me into missions or the nations or ministry, then you'd be crazy to not do that. I don't know who said this, but it's been around a long time. We just use this phrase about being ruined for the ordinary. After you've done the will of God, you are hopefully ruined for the ordinary. You don't want an ordinary life. You want a life with him. Yeah. All right. We should end there, but instead I'll ask you one more question, just for fun. And maybe there's nothing here. Maybe that was our end. But is there anything about me and your mom that you can tell people that might shock or surprise them?
Oh, no. I should have thought this through.
Good. There's nothing.
No. I feel like the people who don't know you very well and just see you as Pastor Jason, a lot of my friends before they got to know you and like when they first met, they're like, your dad's just so kind. He's just so like, wow, Pastor. And I was like, what? I'm like, he just like makes fun of me all the time or says really like dumb jokes. Like, you're very sarcastic and you definitely you do have some funny, dark sense of humor. That's why I love going to your mom's or grandma's for Thanksgiving, because then you have you, your sister, and your mom, and it's like you guys all just bounce off each other really quickly. Yeah.
It really comes out there, because I married a very, very nice person.
Yes.
Like when people describe like, oh, your dad's like this, you're like, no, you got the wrong one.
Yeah, it's my mom.
That's mom. She's very nice, very kind, very gentle, like, doesn't like to hurt people's feelings. Where my family came like, that's a contact sport. That's fun. Like, let's see if we can hurt one of those feelings. That'll be fun. And I've certainly, that's been tempered over the years, and I'm trying to be more and more like Jesus. But yeah, I probably shouldn't have asked that question, because I think that is true.
Well, we have to find something for mom. She can't get off the hook that easily. I can only think of nice things. I can't think of any embarrassing things for her.
Not really. I mean, this isn't like embarrassing or anything, but she loves Goodwill.
I know.
She loves a deal. I could tell stories. She loves a deal. She hardly ever buys anything that she can't resell for more money. Everything she buys, she thinks of as a flip. What can I get for this?
Works well.
We're turning Faith's room into an office for me now that she's married and out of the house. So she doesn't get to come back.
Nope.
And we bought a desk the other day, and when we bought it, Trisha said, and we bought this used at a good price. I think it's originally from Pottery Barn or World Market, one of those places, for expensive. And we got it for a really good price used. And as I'm loading it into the truck, she's like, I hope you like this, because I can barely get my money back out of this. Like, I can just, barely get my money back. I'm like, first of all, it's my money. I earned it. Second of all, why are you already thinking about selling my desk? Like, we just got it for me. Like, we're not going to flip it. We're going to put it in my office, and I'm going to use it. So, yeah, that would maybe be something that might surprise a few people. But if you get to know her,
I don't know.
You'll find out quick that she loves a deal.
Yeah.
All right. Grace, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. You got to go to work now.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, we never said, like, are you, you're, sorry. There's no editing this to fix it. This is just a little bit of a mess.
Sorry.
Do you know what you're doing next? What you're doing right now is the will of God, but you
Yeah.
know, if there's something that comes after this you're supposed to do
Yeah. Guys, I should say it.
if you want to.
Oh yeah. I definitely feel strongly towards going back to staffing the minimum of 2 years. That's where I feel like God is calling me to it. I feel like this season right now is the preparation for that.
Okay.
So.
All right. Back to Ensenada,
back to
Mexico.
Ensenada in the summer.
Yeah.
Summer.
So in the summer, does that mean
Summer.
what's another thing we'd have to define? But would you be working with the Mission Adventures?
Mission Adventures. Yeah.
Okay.
For the summer, I think that's where I would like to be.
All right. So maybe some people from our church would see you there, possibly, if you get there in the summer. All right, great. All right. Thanks, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. If this has been a blessing, then maybe pass it on to somebody else. Yeah. Share it. If not, we'll see you on Sunday. Have a good Sunday. Bye.
Bye.